You're listening to another episode of Metal Massacre. What is up? It's me, the weirdo with the beardo, sitting here with the czar of gnar himself.
It feels wrong to give myself my own nickname, but
Why?
Someone has to fucking do it. Someone has to fucking do it, and if I don't have any friends that are going to give me a nickname, it's going to be me.
It's gonna be. No,
May.
No, not doing it. This is a metal show. We're not doing it. Me and the wife just saw Deadpool 3, and she loved it, except for two things. She was like really upset that they used "Bye Bye Bye" by NSYNC in the intro of the movie.
Is that not on? It
was a bye bye to Fox, is what they were trying to do, and it's like I get why you're doing it, but it was like, ugh. You know, like that was a little bit of a cheesy part. And
I guess. Well, first of all, by the time that this episode comes out,
it's been out for a while now. Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, that's not a spoiler.
Man,
but hey, I probably will say some other shit.
I'm not taking a single fucking fleck of hate from one of these MCU dorks.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, we'll be in the territory of like spoilers are okay.
Okay.
Because it's generally about a month, right? It's about a month after a movie, and then people start talking about it, right?
But, okay, so here, spoiler alert. Good movie?
Oh, great movie.
I just wanted to we're getting
intimate with that microphone. No, probably my favorite Marvel movie ever. It kind of got me back into that shit.
Honestly?
And yeah. And best Deadpool movie. Honestly, he kind of saves Marvel. Like, that movie kind of saved Marvel after Endgame was going down a shit road. And
it's again, you jumped the shark.
Saturating things with these shitty Disney Plus shows.
Oh my God, it's time.
And Discord's popping. And I think this was something that made it metal again in my life.
Yeah, again, it's the most brutal. Not necessarily, because there's implied brutalness, and that's kind of like the superhero way. It's always been that way. There's implied brutalness.
Right.
Like some of them might kill someone if it has to happen, but most of them
not
do
in Deadpool.
not.
In Deadpool, everything you see, everything you hear, it is just gruesome, and I love it. And some of the cameos in this were so fucking brutal. Like, brutality was something they thought about when they made this movie, and you can tell.
As they should.
And I was like, oh, this is something I at least need to bring up. But yeah, it was really, really, really fucking good. If you haven't seen it yet, you're living under a rock. Go fucking watch it. It's probably on YouTube right now. Yeah, you need to watch it. But I don't even know. Have you seen the first two Deadpool movies?
I saw the first one. We determined this after I was thinking about it. Yeah, I've seen the first one.
I think you would really enjoy it.
I've missed out on a lot of the I grew up really liking superheroes, and hey, honestly,
I know you're not a fan of the tongue in cheek though, so that's what drives you away from it. But Deadpool movies make fun of that shit,
right?
And I think that's why you would like them, because you would find the humor in it, and you'd be like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio where he's like pointing at the TV. You'd be like, oh my God, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of those moments in these three movies, and it just keeps getting better and better for me, I think. But I would say out of any superhero movie, Dustin, that's the one I would recommend is finish this trilogy.
Finish Deadpool. I could do that because, even I do like a couple of them.
Yeah.
There was a point where during COVID, like everybody else, but I'm a big video game dork. You guys, if you're fans, you know I am.
That's your chosen media.
Yeah, that's where I like to get my stories from.
For sure.
I like to be involved. I like having a choice, that kind of stuff. I have a control issue. It's fair.
Yep.
No,
a little bit.
But I also sometimes, that's what I also use music for. Is when I don't want to be in control of anything. I just want to listen to some shit, or just soak in a medium.
Yeah,
that's what music's so great for me for, and I get inspired. But I do think that I do want to watch the rest of the Deadpools more than anything else. It is that's why I don't like Spider-Man very much. I loved him as a kid, but I think that Spider-Man was just so just too much. He's just too much of a dork. I'm gonna rub some dirt in your eye for that one.
Yeah.
Fucking, it's Tobey Maguire. I'm not scared of Tobey Maguire. You know what I mean? I don't care if he's Spider-Man. Point is, a lot of it's pretty tongue-in-cheek and emo Spider-Man. There's emo Batman.
I think if you can get past it, you're gonna like a lot of it. But I understand not liking it. I'm always a fan of this is a metal show. I love the more brutal comic booky stuff that's more realistic, and a little more adult.
Themes.
Yeah. So that's that's totally understandable. I think when you look at stuff like that, and
I think I was a kid, even as a kid, I really like enjoyed. I was always one of the kids like I was friends with my brother who was a year older than he had friends who were a little bit. I was always hanging out with their crowd, not the younger kids.
Same.
And again, there's nothing wrong with being the guy that hangs out with the, you know what I'm saying, like a grade or two below. If they're cool people, they're people. But the point is, I always like that. I've always liked more adult themes than like not, I suppose, from even being like a kid.
Yeah.
But so it's not always just the writing. It is just like, all right, I'm not going to actually kill anybody. I'm just going to be swinging webs or like running in a circle doing like Taibo and shit, like, which is great. But I'd rather do something like, Ghost of Tsushima or Sekiro or whatever it is that like ends up like I'm fucking cutting throats.
Right.
Hey, again, we're brutal guys. We're running a show called the Metal Massacre. Like, I don't know what you want from me.
I like gory and fucked up games.
But I like gory and I like heavy. I like adult themes. I like adult writing.
Kind of leads me into my next little thing of brutality here. I have wanted to play this game since I lost my Xbox 360. And even you were like, hey, just buy it. You can borrow my 360. And I was like, dude, I want it on PC. I found it on PC. I got the Deadpool game from like 2017.
Oh, yeah,
just really raunchy and inappropriate and fourth wall breaking and crazy and really fucking brutal and gory. And I was like, oh, dude, I think I'm on the last level now. I've had it for a day.
2017 is recent enough in video game history that it doesn't. The graphics may be something, but like
they're real good though.
But they're smooth, and it's honestly it's also supposed to have that comic book look and feel to it. It's not like trying to play Spider-Man from PS2.
No,
it's not.
It's
like
not so Roblox looking. You know, like I hate the old graphics in PS1.
It's very Arkham style, like you were saying as well. But even then, those were around the same era as well. And so I don't want to call it a clone because it definitely has its own essence. That game, I've seen lots of Deadpool gameplay over like
it's so much fun. It is a really metal game, and the soundtrack's kind of metal. Just like the humor in it, the dark humor in it, you're just like, this is fucking dark and brutal, and I love it, man. It's really fun to play. It's a good like time waster. But yeah, no, I've been like finding the metal moments in life as I've had an abundance of free time lately, and just kind of looking for more brutal things and things to cover. And
it's summer.
I don't know if you've been looking at the YouTube at all, but like I made a couple of videos on there. I did a Brutal Legend one and a Blood Drive one, where I'm like, that one episode we did where we talked about metal media kind of opened up something where I was like, we could make little spin-off YouTube videos about little pieces of media that are metal and talk about why they're metal. And I think we
absolutely should.
Kind of something I'm going to start doing more of now. And I've made a list. I have like 10 different video ideas. I had this idea where it was like, what if we got like the front and the back of a vest, like the picture of a metal vest, and then we just find the patches online and we make our ideal
that's a fun
metal
move.
Battle vests.
Yeah, like show me your best battle vest.
And then I stole this idea from another creator. I forget his name, but I'll have to shout him out like in the description or something. But he's a metal commentary guy and he's pretty indie, and I really like him. I wish I remembered his name, but he did this one where it was like tour posters, creating tour posters of bands that all have something in common.
Oh, that's a good idea.
The canceled tour of a bunch of bands that got canceled. And then the artwork has to do with like angry moms in the background and like stupid shit like that on the poster. And like there's the Addictions tour where there's just everyone and he's like, all these are meant to be humor. Don't take them personally. And like, I thought it was a really fun idea. And I was like, man, that'd be fun to make like our ideal concert lineup tour poster. So like videos like that, look forward to on the YouTube. Also, I want to do some more in-depth dives on stuff we talk about. Like, I want to do more album reviews there as well.
Yeah, because we've just kind of thrown on the back end of episodes.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've both kind of considered is like, hey,
we've kind of gotten away from it. But to be honest, a lot has been happening.
Yeah, and we have, as we've been growing, and thank all of you for helping us grow. Much like our person at the end of this episode here, who's been building and building and building things for us, but we'll get to that. The point is that I think that we really do need to expand into video. It is time.
Yeah, we need to upgrade it into video, man. Like,
and so
it kind of got me like I've been thinking about this. We had an interview that kind of brought this up to me and like it got me thinking. And honestly, it's been something on my brain like for a lot of this year is like, have you ever met one of your heroes and they actually didn't disappoint you?
Ooh.
Because they always say, don't meet your hero because you're going to be disappointed. You idolize them in your head. They're never going to be who you want them to be. What if they're a fucking asshole and they ruin it for you? And then all of a sudden, you don't want to listen to Childish Gambino no more.
What about Donald Glover? What did he do to you?
He didn't do shit.
Okay.
I'm just joking. I love you, Donald Glover.
I guess actually, rest in peace, Childish Gambino.
I know, he stopped it. Oh, fuck.
But anywho.
But like, have you ever had a moment where you met someone like that and it didn't disappoint? I've had plenty of moments where they did disappoint me, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about them because that's not what I'm about. I'm not trying to talk shit on people.
Just be negative.
But I did have one that honestly surpassed like everything I thought about that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I want to say 2014. Mm-hmm. The Used had just put out Imaginary Enemy.
Okay.
And I don't even remember how I heard, bro. But like I was with our buddy Nate's now girlfriend, Amanda Traybold. Mm-hmm. And then we heard that Homer's record store in the Old Market was having a CD signing for The Used.
Oh, shit.
And we were like, what? Like, that never happens. That's never something I've heard of happening here. This is insane. Yeah. So we literally just drove there and we waited and there was like 10 people in line. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? This is insane. Like, I don't think they advertised it at all. It was just meant to be like an intimate thing and they weren't trying to blow it up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how did we find out about this? So I go in, and at this point in the band's membership, it's Dan Whitesides, Jeff, Burt McCracken, who now changed his name, which I think cool, good for you. But I love the name Burt McCracken.
It's pretty good.
And then the guitarist Quinn that they started with. So this is like my all-time favorite lineup. And I walk up to them, and I have 3 The Used tattoos. And one of them is like a font that you can't really find on the internet. I had to go digging for it, and it's like one of their original logos. And they saw my tattoos, and Bert's like, holy shit, dude, like, where did you get all? And I was like telling him about it and talking about it, and he's like, dude, not a lot of people know about that font. That's insane. You must really like our music. And I was like, told him all this stuff about it. He goes, hey, what's your name? And I told him my name, and he's like, go tell that guy over there, the guy that kind of looks like a nerd, go tell him your name, and he'll get you in the show for free.
Let's go. And
I was like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, how about a +1? Bring a friend. And I was like, dear God. So
hell yeah.
So I was like, okay, I get into The Used through The Used. That's fucking nuts. And like, that's so nice because they sold out in like 20 minutes. So they even asked me, they're like, you come in the show? And I told them, I was like, you guys sold out in 20 minutes. Like, no. Like, I'm just going to get my signed poster and leave. But they were really adamant. They were like, no, come to the show. And I've since then seen them maybe 8 times.
That's awesome, dude.
And there's only been one time where they came and I didn't go because I was like, okay, I've seen you 8 times. Yeah, like everything's different now too. You know what I mean? That changes. But that was my one experience where I actually met someone I looked up to and they didn't fucking let me down. And it wasn't a lesson learning kind of day. Like, it really instilled the value that that's a good person and like I'm in the right lane for like supporting that person.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah, like I mean, like again, yeah, like meeting your heroes or someone that like I guess is famous. I'm trying to think of because again, ones that aren't necessarily negative or just kind of like, well, they just are fulfilling their duty. Because there's again a few of those, I'm sure, but we're not trying to be negative. So, well. This is going to be very Nebraska specific, and there's not too many sports fans, but I remember when I was playing football when I was a kid, Eric Crouch, after he retired and was like, he had won the Heisman. He was like, they took Nebraska to a national championship. He was so cool. Like I went to one of his camps and we were thinking that he'd probably have a bunch of coaches there and then he was just going to oversee the thing and be like a face of the game. Yeah. He ended up being like, the person that was the most hands-on the entire time and was like very patient with everybody. So he was cool. And then Amon Green, who also played in Nebraska, I took a camp that same summer when I was like really playing football quite a lot. and he played for the Green Bay Packers for years, and also again like a dude that's like a multi-millionaire, best running back in the world. He threw a camp, and honestly, only like maybe 20 people showed up. Me and my brother were one of them. He ended up taking us to he was like, fuck it, all these kids are coming to the movies with me. You want to bring your family? I'll rent out a whole movie theater. We're gonna go see the new Die Hard. He rented out a whole movie theater just so like us and our whole families could go see Die Hard. We ended up going to the arcade, and he was just like 1,000 tokens for everybody. Like he was really cool. He was really nice.
That's really fucking cool, dude.
It just gave back to the community. So those are two sports ones that I can think of, because again, like those were two people that again, like they could have entirely just hired a whole coaching staff to run that thing and just been like shaking hands and signing autographs.
Right.
No, didn't charge us for a thing besides the entrance fee. Was hands on the entire time. That was really cool.
That's really fun.
Honestly, as much as you like to troll on him, Tech 9 was really nice when I met him.
I love trolling on Tech 9.
Yeah,
I don't know why he wears gloves. That's the only thing.
It's just a thing.
I don't like it. It's weird.
Stop wearing the gloves.
Stop wearing gloves. You don't need to wear gloves.
He honestly, not all of his.
Howie Mandel? Come on.
Maybe.
He could be. You never know.
He was honestly really nice.
No, he's pretty nice. I met him once.
He was doing, because it reminded me of that. I wasn't even thinking about it until like you brought it up, because we were like assigning. Me and rest in peace, our buddy Justice. Yep. We were sitting there at my old apartment. We were doing some drinking, but I was off for the rest of the weekend. So it was a Friday night. We partied pretty goddamn hard. We woke up the next morning at like, whatever time, a 22-year-old at that time. So it was like this would have been like 2015 or so.
Yeah.
Wake up, pop on YouTube. Tech 9's got a sponsored ad. That's the first thing that comes up after like we played like one song. It came up. It was like, today, Independence, Missouri. Today, you're hearing this. It's today. Show up at the FYE and I'll sign a CD for you. And we're like, it's only like 2.5 hour drive.
We could make it.
I was like, do we really want to drive like all the way 2.5 hours down just to do this? He's like, what the fuck else are we doing today?
Right.
I was like, bet. All right, let's go. we ended up waiting in line for like 4 hours.
Dear God.
But it was one of those long. We ended up buying albums, but like the reason it took so long is because this is why I wanted to shout him out. Is the reason it took so long is he was giving everybody like actual attention.
Yeah.
This dude was doing this probably for like fucking 7 hours that day without a break. It was a nonstop, like a couple steps every few minutes. Like,
right.
7 hours straight. This dude took the time to like listen to that person, tell him how much he meant to him, and then like give them something back, and then take pictures with them, sign their stuff if they had anything. And that's why it took so long. But it was like, dude didn't quit. So I had mad respect to him for doing. That's so exhausting to do for 8 fucking hours, basically. Because there were people behind us too. We were like in the middle of the line. Right. When we got up to the front, Justice just took a picture of them. He was like, "What's up? I've been driving all day. What's going on, dude?" He's like, and then I came up next, and I was like, and so I took some pictures for him, and he took some pictures for me. But I was like, "Yeah, man, we're from Omaha, like your second home, like you're always saying, blah 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 blah." I know there's kids here and shit, but you mind signing this? And I was like, just had turned 20 something, so I bought a bottle of Hennessy. Been hiding it in my jacket the whole time. And I pulled it out. He goes, "Oh, fuck yeah, for sure." Signed the bottle of Hennessy, and then like took a picture. It was just like trying to like return to pour it on my head. Like, again, like I was personable and awesome. And that was like 3 and 4 hours into like already signing. And he was like, "This dude rules." Like, it was. Big shout out to him for that, because again, we would all listen to him in high school, and I was always shouting out Midwest independent. Like, some songs are great, some songs aren't, but that's every artist. The point is, I've never heard anybody be like, "That guy fucking kicked me in the dick. He was a piece of shit." Like, everybody that works with him respects him.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy.
He seems like a pretty genuine dude, and obviously
the gloves?
He used to party too much back in the day, and it burnt gloves into his brain, bro.
God damn, bro, I need my gloves now.
Yeah, dude.
Wobbly. No. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I think it's good that we both had these moments of like that's a good time validating. It's really a validating moment.
Oh, I saw Jack White outside of a hotel one time, White Stripes.
Nice.
It was here in Omaha. But like that was literally like
Did you talk to him though, or did you just see him?
Very short, because I did not want to bother him, and Kayla couldn't recognize him. My wife couldn't recognize him by like face, but as soon as I said the name, she was like, "Oh, that is."
See, if I saw Jack White, I would just go, "How old are you? How old are you now and away?"
Yeah,
and then just walk away.
He'd probably flip you off. But no, honestly, he was just trying to he was waiting for, he got picked up by, and that's how I was like, oh, that's how famous people do it. He got picked up by a car that just like pulled up real quick, gangster style. It was like a old 90s Ford Expedition. It looked like bullshit with like Nebraska plates on it. And just like got into it and then no limo, nothing crazy, just like low key as fuck. But before he did, there were two people that I saw, like they were like TMZ scoping him out. Yeah. And like I was like, I feel like that's someone. I thought that might be someone famous.
Yeah. I don't know. That's how you can kind of tell. You see
but then
people
I saw
looking.
people starting to scope, and then they walked up, and then some like he signed something. He was like, all right, sure. And he signed a couple of things, and they left. And all I said to him when they walked by, I was like, is that who I think that is? And they just nodded their head really fast. And so I walked by, and I didn't even say my name. I just said, hey, thanks for all the music, man. Yeah. And I just put my hand out. He shook my hand, and I was like, my wife's a big fan too. Yeah. Thanks for all the music, dude. And then just left. And I was like, I think that's the best thing I probably could have done, because he was honestly like, oh, thank you.
See, and you're also in a moment where you don't have a lot of time with the person. No. So what are you going to do? Sit there and like tell them a whole story while they're like, dude, there's a car in the street with its door open.
I could tell that the other people wanted to. And he was like, great, now leave.
That's how I felt when I met Papa Meat. Was like, he was in the line to pee. And then
it's like, come on, dude.
We like kind of looked at each other, and my wife looked at him and was like, holy shit. And then I was like, oh, hey. Yeah, we love your shit, man. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. And I was like, yeah, you have a good night. He's like, okay, cool. And then we kept looking at each other for like 5 seconds, and he's like, I gotta go. I was like, well, yeah, go do your thing.
I gotta go pee.
It's like, go pee, buddy.
He does seem like he seems like a normal guy.
He did not seem like he was used to it at all.
No.
He was like, he looked like a deer in the headlights for like 20 seconds.
Like, dude, your fucking things get like 1.2 million views. Yes, I know
everyone knows who you are. Like Taylor Swift knows who you are, then everyone knows
by
who you
proxy.
Are. It's just crazy.
You make the fucked up cartoons.
Yeah. Which he made that new one with Fantano, and I was like, oh my God. It was so good.
The comics make me so...
It was so good.
By the way, follow Meat Canyon, follow Papa Meat. He's a heavy metal guy. He
just came out with a new EP. His project is called Cask.
Yeah.
It's not bad, and honestly, like, I encourage him to keep making music. I think it's got a good spirit behind it.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's very new metal, very aggressive kind of stuff. And honestly, stuff I could see coming out in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was pretty cool though.
Yeah.
But anyways, man. Yeah, I've met some cool people. Yeah. And I think our guest is a cool fucking person too.
Who has also had one of those hero moment stories that honestly surpasses any of ours.
Please elaborate. You got this.
We sat down with a gentleman, Christian Malone. I don't know if anyone remembers him, but his story is a pretty unique one. And he took a moment and turned it into a movement. So without further ado, here's our interview with Christian Malone. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Metal Massacre. Dustin, it feels like it's been a minute since we recorded.
We do these in odd orders, so I never...
Yeah.
We all haven't missed a beat.
Yeah, we always do this in a weird order, so then we'll release it a month or two later, and then sometimes I forget what we've talked about before we release an episode, and I just remember you went on vacation, you were chilling on a lake, drinking and fishing and cooking and having a good time.
As you should.
Right? And now you're back, and we actually have a really fun guest today. I'm super excited to talk with this guy. He had a crazy experience, and that crazy experience turned into something bigger than I think we ever expected. Folks, we got Christian Malone on the show today. Christian, how you been?
I've been pretty good, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
It's an honor to meet the man that I've seen so many times online himself. Honestly, it was that whole skyrocket was fun. And, we got to kind of get into it. I'd love to do formalities, but I am just curious, kind of like, I mean, we've seen them always post because you're the guy, for those that may not be super familiar, we'll do the proper promo, but you're the guy that was in one of the Walmart photos. So they're like, shout out to Christian, and you're looking like you do with the tattoo dude. People immediately took to you. So like, what was that first week like, or first couple like months kind of building off of where you're just working at Walmart and now you're skyrocketing?
Yeah, it was definitely an experience. I did not expect it. I'm pretty sure anyone that posted me didn't expect it either. But yeah, it was just a associate appreciation thing that my Walmart does, and I'm trained to be a team lead, so I'm a level up. That's what they call it. And when they took the photo, I didn't have Facebook at the time. So they took it, they posted it on their Facebook, and at first it was it was kind of hateful in a way, because it was just regular Walmart people just looking at this guy and they're like, "Oh, Walmart lowered their standards." Like that was like one of the things they said. But the band Die Artist Murder came in and they said something, and then all of a sudden all these metalheads started coming in defending me and all this stuff, and it just skyrocketed. But the amazing thing was the stories that they put on it. There was a bunch of stories saying, "Oh, this Christian guy, when I came in, he helped me throughout the whole store." Just like really funny stories that people make up, and it was like paragraphs. And I was like, the amount of effort and time someone typed this whole paragraph just say it.
Now, were you aware of that phenomenon before it happened to you?
Well, you like did it?
So there's been this thing going on with the internet for 5-6 years where that is something I've seen happen on a lot of Walmarts that post a lot of their employee appreciations, is people right off the bat, without even knowing who the person is or what they look like, they don't care, they just type, "Oh, this person saved me from a werewolf car and I shit my pants and they gave me a new pair of pants and they caused Thanos to reverse the snap and that's why everyone came back." Like that has been a troll forever, but to hear that one of your favorite bands got involved and defended you, and that kind of brought forth the metalhead army, I think that's where that story started getting interesting for me. The conclusion of it was something I don't think any of us saw coming.
No, it was honestly pretty crazy, and I did hear about that. I just haven't really seen it because, like I said, I'm not big on social media. I had an Instagram at the time. I did have Facebook at one point, but I deleted it way before. And I had Instagram just to follow bands and stuff. I never really posted stuff really. But yeah, it was definitely an experience. And yeah, Die Art came along, Asking Alexandria was one of them. And even Saliva. And I was like, what?
Wow. Huh.
That's huge. It's hilarious, man.
But the whole, after this experience happened, my friends and coworkers were telling me, "Bro, did you see this post? Your post is going viral." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, and then eventually I did make a new Facebook and I said, "This is me" and all that. But it didn't really change much, honestly, besides going to concerts. I used to go to concerts a lot, but I lived in Chicago at the time. I live in McHenry now, which is still in Illinois, but far from Chicago. And living in Chicago, I didn't have a car. I used to take bus, train, walk. Everything was close distance. So living in McHenry, that caused a lot of problems going to concerts. So I didn't go to concerts for a while because of that. But ever since this whole thing started going off, I've been going to a lot more concerts. But no one at Walmart really comes up like, "Hey, you're the Walmart guy." I hear I'll be going past people and they'll be like, "Hey, that's the Walmart guy," but they don't come up to me still. I don't know if it's because how I look or they just don't want to bother me. But usually at shows it's like, "Hey, Walmart guy." Like that's
That's pretty fucking cool. I think honestly, like the fact that you had one of those moments that's like something random happens to somebody and everyone hears about it, and it's just like a really feel good experience, like getting to have that moment where Die Artist Murder is like, "No, we want you to get the day off work. Walmart, give this guy the day off work. He's going to our show. We're gonna fucking rage." Like, I think that in itself, like they always say, Christian, don't meet your heroes, because so many times we'll meet our heroes and they disappoint the fuck out of us. And you're like, wow, that's not the person I thought you were. And I idolized that person, now it's such a big letdown. It kind of like breaks you. But to have the opposite happen where these are people you look up to, you love their music, you inspire to be in that culture like we all do. Mm-hmm. And they've not only been like, "Come here, little guy," and like put you under their wing, but they're like, "Get off work. Let's fucking go." Like, that's such a good feeling, dude.
Yeah, they for sure did not need to do any of that. They didn't even have to like it, you know. They could have just went past it like, oh, that's pretty cool. He's wearing our merch. But no, they went out of their way to type something. And even I didn't ask them this when I was there because I totally forgot. But apparently, before I had the Facebook, they did call to see if they called my Walmart basically, and they asked if they know what's going on right now. But I forgot to ask that question because, you know, when you're there, you're just enjoying yourself. But yeah, it was a good blessing, I would think, especially since it's like one of my favorite bands growing up that got me into metal.
Nice, dude.
So you've taken this online persona, I guess you call it, Walmart guy.
Yeah.
Death metal metalhead Walmart guy, and you've turned it into a community, and you've turned it into a message, and you've turned it into a whole what's the word, like a movement.
Yeah.
A movement's a good way to put it, because another thing that honestly I think is the thing that is probably the most important to your credit now, like he was just saying, you can take and run with it, is that you've created this area called Metalheads of the Workforce on Facebook, along with just having your own personal entertainer profile as well that's got thousands, like well over 10 digits, like 5-digit followers at this point, which is awesome. Like, do you guys, so I mean, like, obviously it's just a community to hang out and have fun with and just share your stuff and say, hey, we're all here doing the same shit. But I mean, I would love to see like a Metalheads of the Workforce like festival or something, you know what I mean? Like trying to find a way to gather a bunch of people to do some grassroots shit. But yeah. I just think it's really cool you've garnered this attention and done the right thing with it. Yeah,
that's the main thing I brought from this, is that I went viral being myself. That was the main thing. I didn't go viral doing something stupid. I didn't go viral being something I'm not. So I wanted to, and the main thing, a lot of people are realizing that the workforce is changing, as in like they're being more accepting of people. They're letting other people in. And because there's been a lot of people that DM me saying, you know, I tried getting into Walmart like 6 years ago, and they didn't let me because of my piercings or my tattoos, or they didn't let them wearing merch and all that. So that's the main reason also why I did the Metalheads of the Workforce, so I could show other people that are metalheads and they're able to wear their merch as well, and hopefully maybe other businesses be more accepting of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to be, and that's a really good message, is like more acceptance of people that love metal, because like for so long, and you asked this earlier, you said, I don't know why they don't come up to me. And I think it's, you know, well, you got to understand, man, like we're like the horror of music.
Yeah.
We're like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees walking down the street with the fucking tattoos and beards and all this shit. The average Joe is probably like, I'm going to walk on the other side of the street just to be safe, because you never fucking know. Yeah. But it's like, I get it, but at the same time, we need to start normalizing things to a point where everyone can have those opportunities, and it's a more even playing field, because in reality, you might find someone that's got a complete fucking Joker face tattoo, and they're a genius mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, why wouldn't I hire this person if they're going to make my business run more effectively just because they have a Joker face tattoo?
Yeah.
Now, like, why did you get that Joker face tattoo? I need to know. Are you that big of a Joker fan, or are you trying to do some crazy shit? You know what I mean? Like, both arguments are there, but I like the message of trying to normalize things, because, dude, it's 2024. Dude. Like, can we just get the fuck over it already?
Yeah, I don't understand why people go out of their way to say some hateful stuff. I don't understand why people, like, I understand some stereotypes might, you might look at someone and you're like, oh, I think they, you know, who they are. But, and sometimes, you know, you are right. Sometimes they are a dick. But most times they're not.
Very true. I mean, you got to give people a shot. Like I said, I mean, it's one of the cooler things that I could tell, that besides just a place to share work and just to share what you do and who you are, being able to have a spot where you, like, every day you're just like, hey, post what the fuck you're wearing today while you go to work, post what you're doing. Like, I think it's like a joke at this point, but like, if you don't have like a forearm sleeves and you work at a restaurant, I don't think you're qualified. You know what I mean? Like, every chef's got like a bunch of forearm sleeves and stuff, but not to just dwell on it the whole time too, but we were bringing it up, I mean, and we can definitely get back into it, but besides obviously metal and stuff like that, I've just from doing basic digging that you've been willing to offer, we're both pretty big horror fans, and we brought up being like horror like of people, I suppose, being crazy looking metalheads. We've gone over it before. There's plenty. What would be like your most metal movies that you think? Because I know you've probably got a collection of them.
Most metal movies?
Yeah, whether it's based, it doesn't have to be just fucking metal in general. You know what I mean? Like how heavy something can be. Like Saw would be like it's pretty gnarly because it's just torture the whole time. So I would say that's up there, for example. But that's an easy get.
Yeah, I do like Saw though. Saw is actually I won't say one of my favorites, but I like how it's hard to find movies that have both gore and a good storyline as well. Usually it's either a good storyline or good at gore. It's I can't really find good mix of both, and Saw does that pretty good, I think. But I do love Terrifier. Terrifier is definitely one of my favorites, and I know that's pretty well. Not the first one, but the second one came out not that long ago. The third one's coming out pretty soon. Yep. That's definitely one of my favorites. I love Art the Clown. I don't know. My favorite movie, like I would say if I had to go on top of my head, I like the Jason movies. I like Friday the 13th. I don't know. Between Michael Myers and Jason, I always been a Jason guy. I don't know why. I was born Friday the 13th. Maybe nice. I just like that's
hell yeah.
That, but I love the Jason movies. I don't know if you count this, but Aliens. I like Aliens a lot. Yeah. I love the xenomorphs. I love how cool they look. I feel like they look pretty metal as hell. Like, that's a good one for me.
Great answers.
You see, this one's hard. I love Leatherface. I love his character, but I don't like too much of the movies, if that makes sense. I feel like Leatherface has a good... They could make him really good, but they don't. You know, like it's really hard because I like the icon, I like the persona he does, but the movies, I like maybe like 4 movies out of the whole series.
Mm-hmm. I do think that like there's a timepiece to be said because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorites, and when people say they want to get into horror, depending on how much I think their tolerance for shit is, that's usually like, well, let's start with like the 2004 Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's kind of campy but also pretty brutal. Yeah, and like it's okay. The second Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whatever the one where it's like all the weird 80s influence to all of it, I think it was 2. That one was that was hard to watch, whichever one that was. But the first one, like the original classic, like it's very campy, it's very 70s. Like I honestly I agree with you because there's not too much you can do with the story, and it does play on the like, don't go in the house, don't stop. Yeah. Like it's a little bit on the nose, but the overall essence of how scary he is and how much like is implied in what you don't see, some of the best cinema in my opinion. But like, yeah, I know I threw you on the spot with that one, but I was just, like I said, just from basic research, I was like, well, I can tell you're not just a metalhead, but you're a horror fan, you're a gamer, a couple of things. I like
a lot of horror, and I always try to watch before I judge them. And even with like with Hellraiser, I'm a big Hellraiser fan as well, but they didn't do too much on Pinhead. You know, that's my favorite character, Pinhead. And
yeah, I get what you mean there, but like if you're looking at like hit or miss, you also got to look at that. Like how many movies have they made and how many of them have hit? Yeah. Like in my opinion, Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3 are the best Hellraisers. Hellraiser 4 is tolerable, and then the rest of them are just like complete garbage. So like, and also Friday the 13th, it's kind of halfway hit or miss, you know what I mean? Like, but when they hit the hardest. Like Friday the 13th, chapter 2. Even I like the one where he goes to New York. I don't know. It's just campy and stupid. Like when those kids are listening to the beatbox or the boombox, and he just like kicks it and fucking they're just like holy shit and run away. Like yeah. I love that campy fucking shit. But
yeah, And then they like, what the fuck? And then he turns around and he's like, he pulls his face off.
yeah. That's what it is. And you see his gross ass face, and then he's all like mutated and melting at the end and shit. Like, I love that shit. It's so stupid, but I'm a fan of the old 80s, 90s slashers. Like, that's the bread and butter of the cheese, where it's like still watchable, and you're like, some of these are terrible, but God, they're fucking fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. I also was, besides doing what you're, it sounds almost silly to ask like what's next for you, because a lot of this was just kind of placed upon you and you're running with whatever you're given on the ground as you're kind of going forward. But besides, you know, making like a bunch of appearances at shows and keeping the social profile, we'd like to grow the Metalheads of the workforce. If everybody could go give them a follow, that would be fantastic. And whether you're in it or not, you know what I mean? Show support, show some love. But I guess what I'm asking is do you have, what's going on with you that you think would be the most logical next step for what you have going on with the platform you have?
To be honest, I feel like a next step could really only happen for me if that Metalheads of the workforce does keep growing, because if that keeps growing, then obviously more people will see it, and that means more options will open up. And I'm pretty sure y'all heard about the other one that I was a part of that had like 17,000 followers, and I had to cut ties with that one, and I made a new one. So that's why it was at 7 something K. So at that point, there was a lot more options. You know, I could have messaged venues. I could have messaged, you know, people that run events, and I could have been like, hey, you know, we have 17,000 people at this, and, you know, I bet a lot of people will show up if you want to do something with it. And now, since I had to restart, I feel like I got to grow that out a lot more. But other than doing that and going to shows, I don't really have much more, in my opinion, at the moment, just because, you know, this, like you said, this whole thing was just random, and I do have my own. So it's like, I do have a lot of animals I take care of. I work a full-time job.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to do more, especially trying to just live out my life and what I had going already.
I've seen your social media. What are all the animals you got?
Man, all right, I have a lot more, but the thing is, since I moved to McHenry, I actually gave some away, but I recently got a tegu. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
It's basically it looks like a monitor, you know, a lizard. It kind of looks like, but it's not. But it requires an 8-foot cage, and so I have an 8-foot cage in my other room, 4 feet wide, 4 feet high, and this tegu grows about is going to get about 4 foot, and that requires a lot of maintenance, especially because it's covered in dirt and sand, and I always got to make sure it's clean and all that. I also got a bearded dragon. I got a boa. I got a bunch of spiders, scorpions, centipedes, so a bunch of like creepy crawlers, and then I used to have more reptiles, but I gave some away because moving here was a lot.
Oh, I bet. Dude, moving even a couple of those would be so hard to do. Like,
yeah.
Ugh, that's insane.
It's the roughest part about owning reptiles is electricity, because a lot of them require a lot of heat, and so with the cage, I want y'all to just imagine like how much lights that takes to keep it hot enough for that lizard. So I got like 3 basking lights going. I got like 2 UVB lights going, and like 2 other lights to bright up the other side of the cage because I don't want it too dark in there. Here the dragon lights, which is not as much because it's a smaller lizard, smaller enclosure, and then my boa needs heating as well. So it's like just those alone, the electricity goes high. So I do want more reptiles, but it's hard you can't own reptiles if you can't put lights in them. You know, every reptile needs to keep warm.
I had a bearded dragon growing up. Well, my brother did, and like it was his. He took care of it mostly. But I've always really enjoyed bearded dragons. We had a couple My brother was just like you. Now I forgot. I like repressing some of this shit, but like I was like, I remember he had a tarantula, he had a gink or a skink, a gecko, knoll, and like a bearded dragon. And I think at one point they had like a small boa, like a corn snake or something like that too. Yeah. He liked all that shit, and his mom really did too. He was my stepbrother, but they had I forgot. I was like all the time growing up, we'd be playing Mortal Kombat, and I'd be like, "There's a spider in this room," and it's kind of freaking me the fuck out. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. They're pretty lovable.
I lost a couple spiders, not gonna lie.
Oh shit.
They're crafty little sons of bitches, I'll tell you what.
Man, they're pretty, but I do plan on getting a lot more spiders and stuff, because since I have so much reptiles in that room already, the heating in that room is pretty warm, and with spiders and stuff, you don't really like your room is already that warm. So I could stack up on tarantulas for days, but still that requires maintenance. You can't. There's not too much to do with a spider, but you know, if they obviously when they grow bigger, you gotta rehouse them into bigger enclosures. But yeah, that's my main thing right now. I do want more spiders, but reptiles, unless I get some other big paycheck coming in out of nowhere. Electric
makes sense.
Electric's pretty fucking crazy right now.
I feel it, dude. It could get worse everywhere, so who knows? But I gotta know. So you're a big metalhead. You're huge in this metal community. You have your own community that's metal. You're a metal guy. Top 5 bands that you're listening to right now. Not top 5 of all time, but like give me 5 metal bands as a recommendation.
Okay. So the top 2 that pop up at the moment, do you know there's a band called I Bet, and there's a band called Them's Fighting Words. Those are 2 very underground bands that I do think they've done. They're growing more and more, but I've seen both of them live, and they're both pretty hardcore stuff. Like I don't even know how to classify them, because I Bet is more, it's a rap and metal at the same time. But the rapper, his name's Mo Cyrus. He was a rapper, and then he made I Bet as well. And yeah, he's a pretty good rapper. And then obviously you have a screamer, and so it's like both mix of it. I think they're doing pretty good. And Them's Fighting Words is straight up just like fight music. Like these concerts are like just crazy, but they're pretty. I'm
looking at their profile right now, and I really dig their aesthetic. Obviously, they're pretty funny, and they're doing their stuff right. But like I have a couple things in my headphones, so I'm just kind of like, listen. Yeah, it's some beat down. They're like Catch a Brick is like one of their latest singles. It looks like so. Like these guys look like they fucking rule. Those are 2 honestly good ones. I love finding new underground bands that are obviously hitting the road and playing hard. It looks like they're going from Texas to Kentucky, back up to Michigan, over Chicago.
Literally just got a van. They literally just got a van. So now they're like, where do you guys want to see us? Like they're literally like at that point where they're going to be blowing up. And I like finding underground bands. I like finding bands that I like going to. That's the thing. That's another thing I took for granted, because before this whole thing blew up, I've been getting invited from like local underground bands to like, hey, come see us. And I feel like those concerts are a lot better. It's more personal, you know what I mean? Like you're actually there, and they're like, there's like sometimes no stage, they're just in front of you, and I'm like, I like that, you know, especially hardcore scene, you know, people just going crazy, and then all of a sudden we're all walking out all calm and shit. Like I love that.
It's a lot more therapeutic and like personal that way, I feel like. 3 more. What do you got?
Okay. There's a band called Orphan I've been listening to. They were a part of Strangled. I don't know if you know a band called Strangled, but
I've heard of them.
They did their last show in a WC Social Club a few years ago, and then they broke up after that. And then they made a new band called Orphan. Pretty good. So I Bet, Them's Fighting Words, Orphan. I do been listening to a lot of Infinite Annihilator recently. I know that's probably not pretty sure everyone knows Infinite Annihilator, but
still, yeah, dude.
I definitely been listening to them a lot. And I would say this extermination dismemberment. I've been listening a lot of.
Hell yeah, dude. Those are all pretty good answers. Like I said, yeah, I'm just kind of clicking through a couple of these ones that I'm listening, that I'm hearing from as I'm looking on the side. Again, a lot of what makes a band awesome is their aesthetic, and whether it's a stage presence thing or it's a shock rock thing, or if it's just you guys got something sick with some good album art. Like, I like a lot of what I'm seeing out of all these dudes, and obviously Infinite Annihilator fucking rules. We know that.
I'm gonna check out a couple of these when we're done, man. Like, that's fucking cool. Thank you for the recommendations. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of cool to see what you're listening to right now.
Oh yeah, I've been all over the place. That's why it was kind of hard to come up with just the top, because I usually listen to a lot of music when I'm at work. I just put my headphone in, I just click shuffle and stuff, and it's just playing in my ear. Sometimes I'm not listening, sometimes I am. It's just noise to me at the moment. Like, in that mode, I'm just working, and then all of a sudden, I stop working, and then I'm listening and I'm like, I don't even know this band, and I go look at my phone. I'm like, oh, okay, and I save them. That's usually how I buy music.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, my man. Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say one of the last things that we had here, not necessarily like we're ending it, but I was looking through you. I mean, you've been to a lot of shows, and you listen to a lot of bands. So one of the last things I wanted to ask was, is there like a couple? Because I can think of, and granted, one of them was like the first concert I ever saw, so it's going to be really influential in my memory. But can you name, like, I guess, aside from getting to go and have the artist murder drag you with them and be like, come out, that's a monumental thing, I'm sure. Is there like maybe 2 or 3 shows you've seen live that like blew your fucking mind, like things that they could be huge, they could be underground, but something unique that you saw that you really think is one of the coolest shows you've seen?
I don't know if you know a band called Crown Magatar, but they played at the, I think, Dub C Social Club, and man, I'm telling you, this guy was he came on stage with a ski mask, and he just tattooed all up and shit, and I'm like, this is gonna be some scary shit. And then and then I've never seen him live, but I'm definitely a huge fan of them now. I don't know, I feel like he was one of the nicest people I've ever talked to, like afterwards. But in my words, just you move up on the list just seeing how you are. Yeah. Vulvodynia is one of them too. Well, I love Vulvodynia. I seen them live with their new vocalist. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and that was a really good show. I loved. It's always scary when new band get new vocalist, and seeing them live with their old vocalist and seeing what they're new, it was definitely not a disappointment. So that's a pretty good one. And I say, this is gonna be a weird one, but you're talking about even before this whole thing. I say Bullet for My Valentine.
Hey.
That's the first concert I actually mosh pitted in and crowd surfed on, and I don't know, that's always a memory to me. Dude. That was one of my first shows. And Miss May I too. I don't know if you know Miss May I, but
oh yeah,
circle pits, and I've never seen a circle pit as big as theirs. When I went to that festival they were at, it was called Chicago Open Air, and man, they had one of the biggest circle pits, literally like going around like a building, and it was crazy.
That fucking rules, dude. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it was the first concert. Like, well, I mean, I saw a few, but like the first, like, I'm buying tickets and I'm going to go do something. I was like 14, and I went and saw the Dropkick Murphys at like one of our like mid-level clubs here that like holds like maybe 1,000 people tops, and it was packed like all the way through. And yeah, I was like, I remember like my parents picking me up, and it's like the only time they could pick me up that like me reeking of beer, weed, and alcohol and sweat and sweaty dude spit, they're like, yeah, that sounds about right. It was a Dropkick show. Like, but yeah, seeing like people like doing like two-stepping and like running it. It was like the first time I'd ever, and like I still love the Dropkick Murphys. I'd take them off their shelf every St. Patrick's Day and make sure they have some attention. But like other than that, like that'll never leave my memory as long as I can hold it, kind of thing. And like the first time I saw Slipknot, like that, like just that explosion of experience when I was like 15 years old, like that kind of shit sticks with you forever, man. So it's always cool, and especially now that when you get older too, and then you've seen tens, if not hundreds, of concerts or played them, to still have things blow your mind every time you get to see them and they stick in your memory. I always think that's some of the cool. Well, that's what music's for. Fuck, like.
Yeah, I for sure love going to concerts, man. Like, I mean that's also how I find new bands, because usually when I go to concerts, it's always if I only know one of the bands that are on this tour, I will still go for that band. But it's also seeing the bands you don't know. You add them to your playlist stuff. That's always a good thing. But yeah, I love all the scenes of metal. Like, I know a lot of people probably don't like that. You know, they call it like two-step crowd killing, hardcore dancing stuff. Man,
that's where I grew up.
I love that shit, man. I love when you know what kind of show you're at when you see these people in these short shorts and start stretching, and they're like, you're like, oh God, you know. But I love that, you know. If I don't leave a show at one of those shows now with like getting kicked in the head, then I don't think it's a good show, you know.
I'm with you there, my bro. Like, at the same time, I understand, like, yeah, don't crowd kill people that aren't like complete. Don't go out of your way to like run to the back and punch the lady in the back of her head. But like, if you're on the floor, you're in the front of the stage, you're free game.
Oh yeah. And you know, you gotta, that's all you, if you do care about that stuff, then people really understand like what show you're at. You know, there's some shows that you shouldn't be doing that at. You know, every band has their own type of music. You know, if it's just a mosh pit, circle pit type show, then yeah, you do that. Don't be that one guy to go out of your way to start swinging at people. But
no.
Have you ever like been to a show and you did not feel safe?
Yeah, strangled.
What strangled?
Yeah.
What happened?
It was literally they have their whole recording, the last recording of them on YouTube. But before they broke up, they did their last show at the WC Social Club, and it was Strangled, which is a very, very hardcore type band. Heavy beat down, heavy stuff like that. And man, I never seen so many people fall, get hit. People, you know, especially with like floors that are like hard, and then you start throwing like drinks in them, and then you're trying to mosh pit, circle pit, crowd kill, and everyone's falling over each other. It was just a mess. But definitely a show to remember, though, you know.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. That's the good shit, man, in my opinion.
I've had a couple like that. Most of them I feel pretty safe at. It's like manageable. You know what I mean? And then there's been like one or two where I've been like, all right, I need to get out of the fucking pit, or like get out of this area and like just go get a fucking drink, bro. Like, I'm the older I get, the more reserved I become, and I'm just like, My wife's like, I'm gonna go mosh, and I'm like, right on, man. Stand here and watch. Like,
have a good time.
I honestly, I do that all on stage. I don't like doing it in the crowd for some reason.
Yeah.
So
there's another one, man, that's pretty intense, and I think Body Snatcher is one of my favorites just because how heavy they are, but at the same time, the lyrics they bring is so intense. Like if there's like intense song that Body Snatcher plays at live, you could tell in the crowd of who's feeling this song, and they feel like Superman, man. Like
straight up. No, that's pretty cool though. I mean, like, yeah, that's what we're here to do. Half of being able to play. I mean, like, if you go to a Latin dance club and no one's dancing, what's the fucking fun? If you go to a heavy metal show and no one's doing at least a little bit of pushing and shoving and having a good time, jumping, bouncing, what's it all for? I mean, some people, obviously, the older the crowd and that kind of stuff. Like, if you're opening up for like a legendary band and there's not like a whole bunch of like younger, if the audience is 35 to 60. There might be one or two times where like faggot and like get after it once, but like then you can kind of understand. But yeah, it's always fun, especially on our end, because we both play in a band together. But we've played bigger venues, but sometimes when you get that right club in the right neighborhood of whatever town you're in, where the youth go there, where they're 18 to 25 and it's an all ages show, those are always the fucking best. Because I mean, like, then there's the old heads around the back that are still into it and having a good time, basically lining the whole pit, bars full, and everybody that's up front wants to get rowdy, and there's nothing better, man. There's nothing more fun.
Yeah, I'm totally a different person at shows, man. That's what I like. Like, I'm pretty shy in person. I don't talk much, really, especially at work. Like, usually I'm just talking to my team, and that's really it. I don't go out of my way to talk to anyone. But at the same time, I don't do that because I don't want to talk to you. It's just usually I wait until you start the conversation, then I'll start talking to you, but I don't know. At a show, though, man, I'm in that pit almost all the time. And
stop.
Yeah, like... Yeah, I definitely feel it though.
The next day you're like, fuck, dude.
I love it though, man.
That's so much fun.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, honestly, my man, I do have to get running here in a little while. I want to say, first of all, congratulations on all of your success, because that's all it seems to have been. You besides, having a setback on your online page, you could call it a flash in a pan, like the Hawk Tua girl or whatever, but it's the same idea. No, like, now she's on podcasts and doing her shit, and you're doing the same. You're our own personal Hawk Tua, my guy.
Yeah, you're the metalhead Hawk Tua girl.
You came first. You were here first.
For positivity, like you're the thing I see on your Facebook is always positivity, no matter what day it is, no matter who's doing what. You're always preaching positivity, and I think the metalhead community doesn't have enough of that because our aesthetics and our content is so dark. We tend to see ourselves as darker people, but we don't have to put all that burden on ourselves. And you kind of are one of those people that preaches that. And I think it's very necessary in today's age where people are so confused about what they think and what they believe and how they want to portray themselves and the world they want to create. It's such a scary concept now that we're like, in our 30s and kind of becoming that generation that is like the main generation in power, so to speak. So it's nice to know that there are people out there like you that are preaching that positivity, that are preaching a sense of community for people like us that maybe feel disenfranchised and maybe don't have that sense of community. So hats off to you, dude. Honestly, Dustin, I'm gonna do something that might blow your fucking mind right now.
Lay it on me. I'm
going to hit my fucking golden buzzer like we're on America's Got Talent for Christian Malone here and call him our Metal Person of the Year.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. And it's honestly, it's me being positive is what I am, man. It doesn't matter what you give me. It doesn't matter what train I'm hit. It's all life. Life is going to have their ups and downs, and yeah, you could focus on the negative parts of it, but it's only going to turn you into a negative person at the end of the day. And I speak all positive, but trust me, there's days where I'm, on my low ends, and even just typing it up, you feel better. There's been some times where I've been pretty down and I'll be typing, and a lot of these messages I'm putting on my Facebook, I don't even know what I'm typing. I'm just typing away, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, and I'll hit send, and as soon as I hit send, I feel better, and seeing how much people are like, wow, thank you for that. I really needed that right now. That makes me keep going because, it takes less effort to be positive than it does to be negative. Being negative is, and I know a lot of people don't do it people don't do it personally, but it's hard to be a positive person at this day and age. So anyone that is negative, I'm not saying that, Joe, just go be positive, because it ain't that easy. It really isn't. Especially if you're dealing with a lot of stuff and depression, you know. That's why I'm like, as long as you woke up today and got out of bed, I'm proud of you, because, you know, a lot of people can't even do that. So it's just a lot. It makes me happy making other people happy.
I think that's awesome, man, and that's one of those healing qualities that you don't see a lot anymore, and that's why you're our fucking metal person of the year, bro. I'm gonna send you something, whether it's a stupid cheesy 90s t-shirt that says it, or a trophy. I don't know. We'll figure something out sometime. I got a whole year to figure this out, Christian.
We need to make a button.
Me, okay?
We gotta get a button pin for his smock.
Oh, there you go. Metal Person of the Year, Metal Massacre. Yeah. We'll do it. I'll get you a button. That'll be nice. Hey, don't be surprised if you see us hit you up for some collaboration ideas in the future. I love what you're doing. I love the community, and I think it's nice for metalheads that work and maybe don't have a corporate job, maybe don't do things a little differently. It's nice for us to have a community, so I really appreciate that.
Of course, man. I'm glad to be a part of it, and I'm glad I could rep the community. That's another thing about the metalhead community. You could be anything. You don't even have to be a metalhead to be a part of it. You know, it's so accepting, and that's what's good. You know, if anyone that goes against people coming together and just playing music, I don't understand what that is, because music is one of the biggest things that brings people together. So.
I think that's the note right there, Dustin. Mm-hmm. And anything else you want to add real quick before we leave it out, Christian?
I think I said a lot. Like I said, I just appreciate everyone that follows me and everyone that gives me the support, and I'm glad I'm able to represent you guys back.
Yeah, and just like that, you've been listening to Metal Massacre. Get the fuck out of here.